everybody, it's the Warhipster here. We're back with the last video in the series of Codex Chaos Daemons, and it is the Book of Excess today that we will be talking about. Yes, Slaanesh's tome within this infernal tome. This book was sent to me early by Games Workshop to review for all of you, so a massive, massive thank you to them. Without them, none of this would be possible. On time, at least. By now you should have a really good feel for how this book works, but if not, you should go back and watch the rest of the videos in this series, then watch this one, and then you can be all like, oh man, this was great, I should subscribe to Warhipster for more content like this, as well as his fantastic painting videos. What a guy! Well, that was excessive. Do you get it? Because it's like Slaanesh Demons and it's the Book of Excess. Alright, let's do this. Page 105 in your textbooks, ladies and gentlemen. Off we go.
They are joy turned to horror. Want become need, become obsession. Surging sinuous across the field of war, their every caress is a knife thrust. Their every sighing exhalation a howl that bursts hearts and shatters bones. Hideously beautiful, savagely delicate, they promise only delightful misery garbed in the desperate finery of unattainable fulfillment.
Alright, for the last time. Exalted Keeper of Secrets. Points for upgrades. Shalaxi Hellbane. No exaltation. 1 each. No duplicates. Okay, so here they are then. As usual, we have 3 to choose from. Diaphanous Panoply for 35 points gives your Keeper of Secrets -1 to wound from ranged attacks, which is very useful. Epicurean of Agonies for 25 points gives you additional hits on an unmodified 6 to hit. Insatiable Onslaught for 20 points, add 2 to advance and charge rolls made for this model. Now this one is the winner. Speed is everything. Gotta go fast! You also, like all the others, get a page of stratagems, and there are some good ones here. Impossible Elegance for 1 CP grants a Slaanesh demonic character an only hit me on 4s in combat effect. It's like Transhuman, but for the hit roll. Melodic Delirium gives a Fiends unit from your army a 12-inch aura of -2 to psychic tests for enemy psychers, which is very, very nice indeed in the right situation. There's a reroll hits and wounds against Eldari stratagem in the fight phase, and there's 2 stratagems for Demonettes units where 6s improve the AP of melee weapons by 1, and there's a stratagem that lets them pile in or consolidate an additional 3 inches, so a 6-inch pile in and a 6-inch consolidate is very, very speedy. The Soul Stain discipline. The Soul Stain discipline is here as well, and there are, sadly, a lot of changes. Delightful Agonies remains, but can only confer the 5+ Feel No Pain on 1 Slaanesh core unit. Cacophonic Choir remains the same, but it's one of those beat the leadership and the closest enemy unit suffers a mortal wound for every point you beat it by on 3d6. This is better, now there's a bunch of -1 leadership all over the place, but still not your best choice. Symphony of Pain is here and is better, as you no longer have to select the nearest enemy unit and your opponent is -1 to wound you, and -1 to hit you in combat. Hysterical Frenzy now adds an extra attack, and unmodified hit rolls of 6 score 1 additional hit for a friendly Slaanesh core unit. It's no longer the all-star it was of letting a friendly unit immediately fight as if it were the fight phase, so that's pretty sad. Pavan of Slaanesh does mortal wounds on 5s. And finally, Phantasmagoria. It's better, and it's worse. It used to be a 12-inch aura of -1 leadership, now it's a mortal wounds power. You roll 6 dice, and any 6s do mortal wounds on a single enemy unit. For every wound they suffer in this way, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic. So, it's better, but also worse, as it could do nothing, and it could be awesome. Swingy. Warlord traits are next, and as usual, you have 6. The first 3 can be used by heralds, and all 6 can be used by greater demons. Celerity of Slaanesh is gone, so no extra movement. Boo! However, Warp Mists is here, and that lets you keep 2 unspent Warp Storm points, so that more than makes up for it. The others are all okay, but this one for me is the best one. And now Relics. In the last edition of Slaanesh Relics, they had the best one in the Forbidden Gem. Although it was a once per game use, now it's an every command phase relic. And you select one enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer, and none of that enemy's aura abilities work. This is great. It's a huge uptick for an already powerful relic. The Mark of Excess is good too for an extra attack and another extra attack every time the bearer destroys a character, monster or vehicle, so great on a Keeper of Secrets. So let's talk datasheets. Starting with the named Greater Demon, we have Shalaxi Hellbane. They are here with 22 wounds. Notice a pattern with the Greater Demons and their named counterparts? Shalaxi has the following: a 16-inch move, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 6, toughness 7, wounds 22, attack 6 and leadership 10, and a demon save of 5+, 4+. The snapping claws are now malefic 4, so you don't lose attacks here with damage, and at AP-4 damage 3, they're tasty. Soul Piercer is strength times 2, AP-4 damage 3, and against characters it's D3 plus 3 damage, which is nice. You can swap the whip for the Shining Aegis, which betters Shalaxi's save to a 4+4+, which is just worth it over the whip, which is better now, but resiliency over a ranged weapon at Assault 6, Strength 6, AP-2, damage 2 is my preferred choice. They also have a reroll hit rolls of 1 aura of 6 inches, they are -1 to hit and -1 to wound in combat, and they have a 6-inch heroic intervention into characters, but characters only. They are a Psyker, and they know 2, deny 1, and cast 2 powers, which rounds Shalaxi Hellbane out nicely. The generic Keeper of Secrets is very similar, but with 20 wounds instead of 22, and the Wit Stealer sword is strength +2, not ×2, and it's -3, not -4. You have no benefits against characters, but the same ability as always remains that if anyone suffered wounds from the blade but didn't die that enemy model, it is now -1 to wound, which is not the same as it was before on hits, but is still very useful when it comes up on occasion. The Shining Aegis is again the choice here for a 4+4+ save. It still helps friendly core units within 6 inches reroll 1s to hit and is -1 to hit itself. Still a Psyker as well, knowing 2, denying 1 and casting 2, so the Keeper is still great. Not as good as a Bloodthirster, but probably the second best in the book, at least in my opinion. Slaanesh has the most characters in the book with the Infernal Enrapturous, the Mask of Slaanesh, the Sileski, Contorted Epitome, Torment Bringer on Exalted Seeker Chariot, Hellflare or Seeker Chariot, and the Trance Weaver. All of them help you reroll 1s to wound. Standard. Like with Nurgle, the Slaanesh Heralds all do something different, so let's look at the standouts because there's a ton here, and the Torment Bringers all do the same thing, just with varying degrees of weapon damage. The thing they do is add 1 to the attack's hit roll for a friendly Slaanesh core unit. The Infernal Enrapturous is great and has 2 auras. One is a 24-inch range aura that causes Perils of the Warp for enemy Psykers on any rolls of a double, not just 1s and 6s. And they have Harmonic Alignment. Harmonic Alignment lets you select one friendly Slaanesh core unit and you can return a destroyed model to the battle with full wounds remaining. If that unit is infantry, you can return D3 models instead, so that's a must-have, especially if you want to use Dark Invigoration as well. Sileski is great too, now having Malefic 6 attacks on the whip, and you don't have to attack a different unit with it. They have 6 attacks instead of 8 with the axe, but the profile remains the same at strength +3, -3, damage 3. The loss in attacks is made up for by Sileski bucking the trend of points increases, and it actually decreased in points. Because Sileski has the Demon Prince keyword as well as the Herald keyword, Sileski also has an aura of reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Slaanesh core units, in addition to the Lieutenant rules of reroll 1s to wound. So they are a viable option instead of a Greater Demon. But you can't take Sileski in the same detachment as Be'lakor because Demon Prince. Selesky is also a Psyker that knows 2, denies 1, and casts 2, which makes them the second best demon prince in the book. After Be'lakor, of course. The Contorted Epitome is, as always, a surprising combat monster and has a 2+ feel no pain against mortal wounds. The Mirror is still a Psyker that knows 2, denies 2, and casts 2, which is really good. However, the horrible fascination aura has changed. No longer does it prevent your opponents from falling back if they fail a leadership test. However, what it does do is it halves the movement characteristic of enemy units if your opponent fails a 3d6 leadership check. They also must subtract 1 from their attack's hit rolls if they fail that same test. That's my standouts from the Herald's Gallery for Slaanesh, so let's move on to units. And this is where things get weird. Points, again, have gone up on the troops, but so have the stat lines. But the unit size has gone down. I know I've said this every time, but it's relevant every time, and I'll explain. Daemonettes are no longer 70 points. They are 120 points. For this 50-point increase, they gain the following: movement 10 inches, weapon skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 3, wounds 1, attacks 4, +1 on the champion, leadership 6, and a demonic save of 5+, 4+. They gain a pip of AP on their claws, but they lost the 6s to wound arm -4 on their weapons ability. Okay, here's the thing. They've got double the amount of attacks, and they've gained 3 inches of movement. They've also got stronger, but they're still toughness 3. 1 wound. They'll do more damage, but also less damage. They'll survive longer with the 4+ at range, but they'll die just as quick at T3. You can bring them back really easily now between Dark Invigoration and the Infernal Enrapturous, but they die just as quick. They're better, but also worse. It's a tough one. Really tough to evaluate. 120 points, I think they should be 10 points cheaper at least. Maybe more, but again, time will tell. Fiends, however, are still brilliant. They still move 14 inches, they're core for some reason, but I'm not complaining. They have strength 5 now, but otherwise remain the same. The unit size is capped at 6, which is much more manageable than 9, having played with that unit size before. The barbed tail becomes a malefic 1 weapon, so now will always be used rather than barely ever, and the damage is now flat 3, not D3. They lost their no fallback ability, but it changed to -1 to hit if you're in engagement range of the fiend, so it's not the end of the world. Seekers are better at 16-inch movement, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, and 4 attacks each with +1 on the champion. The lashing tons are malefic 2, otherwise they're the same as Daemonettes, except for having +1 to charge rolls, which is nice. Finally, you have the 3 chariots, and of these, the Hellflare is probably the best one. They all move dead fast, but the bladed axle being malefic 6 on the charge at strength +2, -2, damage 2 is better than the Seeker Chariot's options. It doesn't do mortal wounds on the charge like the Seeker Chariot and Exalted Seeker Chariot, but at least its damage is more consistent in a contracted fight. Honestly, points are another factor here, with the Hellflare coming in at 75 points, Seeker at 65 points, and the Exalted Seeker at 85 points. Demon's Choice, I think, is probably the answer here. And that's it, the Book of Excess in all its glory. And as per usual, I've got a list idea here for you. So, we have a Keeper of Secrets, we have an Infernal Enrapturous, we have Contorted Epitome, and we have Selesky. We have 5 units of Daemonettes, 3 units of 3 Fiends each, and 10 Seekers of Slaanesh with another unit of 5 Seekers of Slaanesh. Slaanesh are in a funny place. They were the best option in the last book, and now they're not. They're almost the same as they were before, but in the way that they got more expensive to field a list. They have a lot less they can throw away like before. I mean, who cares about a 70-point unit, right? But 120 points now? That's a bigger loss than it was. Running multiple keepers was a popular strategy and is still viable, I think. There's a theoretical list of running 3 keepers, 3 Infernal Enrapturesses, and as many Daemonettes as you can fit into that, which runs to 6 units of Daemonettes, leaving you 200 points for exalted traits and other bits and bobs. maybe a chariot if you can fit it. However, this list I've designed is one that'll be more fun and has ways of buffing up those demonettes. It's also got serious speed all over the shop and is good at tying the enemy down and being able to move to add pressure at the points you need to, stacking up units and moving through them piece by piece. There's not a lot here that can deal with vehicles aside from the Keeper, but that's okay. You'll just have to be careful with the Keeper, which is easy to do with a 16-inch move. Be'lakor also has a place in the Slaanesh army to give them even more high damage potential, and in this list is easy to get in by dropping Sileski and a unit of 10 Seekers. Slaanesh were the best of the 8th ed book, and now I would say they dropped to 3rd place, but it's close between them and Nurgle. They were my favourites to use up until now, and I'm going to give them a lot of testing, but at the moment it's not doom and gloom for Slaanesh, more tentative worry. So that's it, we are all done. All 4 books of the Warp are in the bag. I'm very, very excited to use this book on the tabletop going forwards. I think there's a lot of power in it in places. I think some of the gods have become a lot better than they were before. I think the viability of all of them on their own is much, much higher. But combined, and that's something we've not really explored in this video because I didn't really want to make this video too long, or this series of videos too long. I may do another that's kind of about optimizing a mixed demons list at some point, but I just think each one can now really have a chance on the battlefield against the right opponents. Some of them do a lot better than others. Khorne, for example, I think has got a lot more potential in today's game with things like Armor of Contempt out there and, you know, Death Guard's resiliency and all that jazz. We've got the extra AP on all of the Khorne stuff in order to be able to handle that. And Bloodthirsters are just seriously, seriously good. I think they're very, very scary going forwards. Before, the Keeper of Secrets was the king of all, but I think the Bloodthirster might have edged it. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know. My thoughts are all over the place. Maybe it's because I have the whisperings of the demons in all of my ears and my third ears and my mind and... oh god! Yes, we've done a lot of demons content. I hope you've enjoyed all of it. And I look forward to making a lot more. There's a lot more painting videos out there to be made. Flamers of Tzeentch, for example, as well as possibly a Slaanesh chariot in our future. But for now, that is the end of the series. Well, there's a painting video coming out later, but for now that's the end. So I'm going to go and try and recover my soul. Yes, I'm going to go and recover, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all very soon next time for another codex, whatever that may be. Hopefully we get another. Maybe even some battle tomes. That would be nice. Something from the Grand Alliance Order, just to cleanse the palate. That would be great. Anyway, I will see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you can now become a YouTube channel member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, exactly like these awesome folks have done. And if you just want to shoot me a little thanks just because you really love this video, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.